Petitions Committee is considering a petition number 1 of 2026 on decentralization of public participation to the ward level. This petition was done by Mr. Gideon Kipet, and today we felt that we should have an engagement with you so that we find a way of processing this petition. Now, this petition, I will not want to go through it because I'm sure you are conversant with it. I'll just go through the prayers that the petitioner is asking the County Assembly of Bomet to require the County Executive Committee to decentralize all public participation forums to the ward level. 2. Develop and approve a clear county framework for ward level public participation. Thirdly, allocate adequate budgetary resources to facilitate ward level public participation. Fourth is to strengthen the role of ward and village administrators. Fifth is to review development projects approved without proper ward level public participation. And sixth, require periodic reporting to the County Assembly. So we have looked into this petition. We have also invited the petitioner to shed more light on the petition, and more of the, before we answer these prayers, it was necessary that you also give us your views on the same, so that we harmonize and come up with a report. So I'll give straight away to you, Waziri, and any other reaction from the members will come up later on. So I'll also ask that if you have a written response, please
Honorable Chair and members of this committee, we've got a written response that we will gladly hand over to this honorable team before exiting the chambers. I don't know. Would you allow me to go through the written submission? Yes. The county executive submits the following response to the issue raised in petition number 1 of 2026. 1. Decentralization of public participation to what level? The county government acknowledges the provision of the Constitution of Kenya 2010, which emphasizes the importance of public participation in governance and decision making. The county government of Bomet affirms that all its development projects undergo public participation as required by law. Currently, public participation forums are largely conducted at the sub-county level. When launching and inspecting and commissioning of projects due to inadequate funds, we have always done this to the sub-county level. Notwithstanding these challenges, the county government is actively exploring mechanism by provision of sufficient funds to further decentralize public participation forums. What we've been doing is we've been rotating the public participation amongst the 5 sub ward. In every sub county there are 5 wards, and what we've been doing is to rotate public participation each year. Number 2 is framework for ward level participation. The county government has in place Bomet County Public Participation Act of 2019, which provides a comprehensive legal framework to guide the conduct of public participation. I'm sure the Honorable House and the Honorable members are aware that we have got a Public Participation Act 2019 for county government for Bomet County. The framework continues to inform the public engagement processes, and the county is working towards full operationalization of its provision at all levels of devolved units. Number 3 is allocation of budgetary resources. The county executive recognizes the importance of adequate funding in facilitating the effective public participation. In this regard, the county government is considering enhancing budgetary allocation for public participation, taking into account competing priorities across the various development projects and program within Bomet County. Number 4 is strengthening the role of ward and the village administrators. I'm sure what he means by village administrators is what we are now calling the sub-ward administrators, because in our County Government Act, Coordination Act, we don't have the village administrators, but I want to believe this is the village administrators can be construed to mean sub-ward administrators. Because in provision. All projects implemented by the county government are derived from the annual development plan, ADP, which is an extract of county integrated development plan, CIDP. The CIDP, having undergone comprehensive public participation during its formulation, provides the foundation upon which the county projects are identified and prioritized. Further, the ADP is subjected to annual public participation to validate and prioritize projects for implementation with annual public participation to validate and prioritize projects for implementation within each financial year. Accordingly, all county government projects are at both the planning and implementation stages, and there are currently no projects implemented without public participation. The county, however, remains committed to continuously enhancing the quality, inclusiveness, and decentralization of public participation process. Number 6 is periodic reporting to County Assembly. The county executive acknowledges the oversight role of the County Assembly and remain committed to accountability and transparency. The county government shall continue to provide reports to the County Assembly through established channels and is open to strengthening periodic reporting mechanism on public participation as may be required. Thank you, honorable members. That is my written response.
Do you have any additional, maybe from your team?
Perhaps I can give a minute each to Marcela. And there is also been joined by the director in charge of administration, Bwana Samuel Chiruyot. He can also introduce himself and maybe make a comment on the same.
Okay, thank you very much, honorable members. I'm Chiruyot Samuel, the director in charge of administration, Governor's office. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to add a comment on the petition. First is that I would like to acknowledge the receipt of the petitioner when it comes to this issue of public participation. It's well entrenched in the Constitution of Kenya 2010, and more so when it comes to the subsection, when it comes to Section 87, whereby it's talk about public participation. And again, we have more information well elaborated in our County Government Act 2012 and the Bomet County Public Participation 2019. Thank you.
Well, thank you for that comment. Now, my first reaction would be, in your own assessment, do you believe the current framework meets the objectives and the constitutional requirement and the requirements of the County Government Act? Then secondly, in the budget and resources allocation, you may argue that maybe the budgeted amounts, maybe considering the current budget are inadequate. Maybe you give us a perspective of how much is enough for a public participation so that we see the kind of cap that is available, and also the target groups. See, for any public participation that is being done, there has to be a target group, and in the current framework how it is done now, are we doing public participation with the right groups of people, or we just doing it to meet the requirement of the act? That would be my question. And I don't know if my members have questions, but I can give over to you. You respond as they prepare. Please respond.
Okay, thank you, Chair. You have asked on when it comes to the amount we are supposed to have it. We are working on it, and by the next financial year, at least we should have in each ward the amount to be used so that it will cut across the 25 wards. When you ask on the people or the whom we are supposed to meet in the field when coming public participation, is that we have a database whereby we do have the representation of the youth, we have the women, we have the person with disability, and having it again, we do have the representation for the entire wards. Thank you, Chair.
In addition, I think what has been the greatest challenge when it comes to public participation is the opinion. There are professional people who are always in every public participation, and that they become they're almost professional in that field, and sometimes it may even, if you're not careful, sometimes, because I've attended a number, some may even use the forum, sometimes even to maybe fight sometimes the governor, sometimes the MC of the MC of the ward, and therefore so as much as it's a critical tool, but what has been undermining is the political interest. And therefore, sometimes we may not get the genuine people may give the objective submission in terms of what needs to be done across the world. So yes, we need to improve on the color and the mosaic of the people who attend the public participation forum, because as I said, sometimes it's the same people in here, in out, and sometimes people called the grassroots mobilizers are the only one who will be there sometimes and dominate. Some of these forums are dominated by the same individuals, and maybe looking at this document, perhaps we need to see how that can be cured. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Waziri. Members, any comments so far? Maribonato.
Thank you, Chair. Okay, thank you. Honorable Chair, there is a general feeling by the members of the public that their views are not taken care of. The reason they feel the same is because when you do public participation in the sub-county level, most of them cannot afford a fare to go to, like for my case, the headquarters is so thick, so most people cannot afford the transport, or they don't even see the need of using their own money to go and do a public participation. So maybe my concern, do you really meet the objective if you are not able to get their views? Because I know we might be having one or two people who normally come, but do we really meet the objective of the public participation, or we are just doing it just for the sake of maybe because the constitution requires the same? And my colleague said something. I wanted to ask the same. Why do you concentrate on the sub-county level? Is it that the funds we budget for are not enough, or you want to, or it is part of saving something, maybe for the office? I don't know. Do you normally involve also the ward administrators in coordinating the same public participation? Because at times when you go for public participation, you might find out that some specific wards are not represented. You might go for a public participation for a case like in Sautik, and maybe members of Cabinet, for instance, are not there. So how will you incorporate their views if they are not there? And maybe you tell us also maybe the challenges that you encounter in decentralizing public participation forums to ward level. And have you also, as a department, conducted an assessment of the effectiveness of the current public participation model, the one you are using currently? So have you assessed the effectiveness of the same? Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Maybe allow us, we exhaust all the questions and then we hand over to you too.
Okay, thank you, Chair. Well, now, Siri, I have been attending most of the public participation, and the turnout is normally low. And the people who normally present, they normally claims that they are not aware because you use the local dailies like newspapers. Why can you again use like a radio station so that you can broadcast?
Chair, I wanted to add on the same. If you go to my area, for instance, I mean, people who access the local dailies, the newspapers, is less than 5% of the members of my ward. So if you use the same in advertising for public participation, how would you expect the 95% or more to get the information? So I think you should consider also in doing the advert, use even posters. You can even do some posters or use the radio station, as my colleague has said, to ensure that the information get to the people. Because when you, even me personally, I rarely see the newspaper. Maybe at times I only watch news. So maybe the best thing to do for you, maybe consider using a method that is available to the members of the public. Thank you.
Well, there is the County Public Participation Act. Section 14 requires that we have an advisory committee, and Section 15 requires that there is need to have a public participation council. Section 27 requires that notice boards be placed in every village, maybe for purpose of notifying the public of any upcoming event, up to and including the public participation. What efforts have you, or what measures do you have in case you don't have these committees? And if in case you have, it is also good that we know and how they are operating. Now, you've also highlighted that most of the public participation forums are interrupted or are disorganized because of political interests and so on. Now, I believe there should be sensitization of the public on the essence to have these public participation forums, and it should come prior to the actual public participation. Are there measures to have the said sensitization, maybe to ensure that the public participation is done the right way? Fine. So maybe you can answer those and then we proceed.
Thank you so much. I think let me try to respond on the public engagement. Why what we have done so far, even in the ward level and even in the village level. What normally happens is that whenever there's a government program to be run, which warrant the public awareness or engagement, we normally have the stakeholders register, which is down there in the villages. We also have the ward administrators. We have the village council, the so-called Wasei Wamta. And whenever we are taking a program which warrant the public participation, what normally happens, we have civic education, and this one normally goes before public participation. So, in fact, the department is not per se public participation, it is actually civic education and public participation. And what normally happens is that we don't have public participation before we have the civic education. So we normally do this prior. When we conduct any public participation in the sub-county headquarters, those members in the villages, some of them through the recent radio stations, they normally come. They present themselves, and of course, we normally ask the ward administrators to at least bring some few people from the respective wards. That's what we have been doing. And for any public participation, see, the forum or the quorum for public participation is 30 individuals. But from the experience, we normally have 100 plus, which I think it's sufficient enough. It's above 30. And when you multiply by 5, let's say 100 per sub-county times 5, that is already 500 participants. But the issue now is, why can we go further to ward level? Now, for the ward level, we have the regulations and policy coming, and already it is in the legal, I think in the legal stage, trying to ventilate on how best we can approach the public participation downward to even the villages. So that thing is there and it's ongoing. I know the document is coming to assembly for approval anytime soon. Maybe in the next 1 month or 2 months, it will be here, checking for approval. So the issue of we cascade the public participation to what level, I think maybe the petition has just come, but I know this thing was coming under our regulation and guidelines on how to conduct public participation. Thank you.
Maybe in addition, for the moment, like the director has said, we are developing a framework now to implement the act, and it's with the policies with the legal department. It's taken us time because it's a fairly complicated document, but we have developed a policy. We are now developing a policy to now ensure that this is an act can only be operational when there is a policy. So we are developing a policy. And Chair, you did ask about the advisory committee. So once this policy is in place, Then now we'll put in place the advisory committee. So we believe, like my director said ably, we will try and fast track the completion of the policy so that we can be able to now establish the public advisory committee. I want to agree with Mheshimiwa that the turnout is usually low, and we are always ready to improve on this. I think it is a discussion we have had with my team. In fact, I think the other time we had a CPF meeting, one of the major issues we were discussing was the turnout. And I think you ably captured that the turnout has been miserably low. And I believe the regulations demand that we publicize these public participation in the dailies. But now I think with your input, beyond the dailies, now we need to use the local medias, either the radio stations, the Facebooks, all of this. I think we will try and employ, and therefore to improve the participation of our citizen in terms of this public participation. I think you also did ask the challenges in decentralization of the same. We are not facing a lot of challenges, but of course, there is the issue of the budget, which I know we will work together plus this Honorable House to ensure that there is, once we ask for a budget, because it's equally very expensive undertaking to decentralize from the sub-counties to now the wards. I'm sure it's a fairly expensive adventure, but nevertheless, democracy is not cheap. So we accept that we are in agreement with this petitioner that we need to decentralize this public participation from the sub-counties to the ward levels. Nevertheless, that is what follows of importance is the resources now to decentralize from 5 public participation in every sub-county to the 25 wards in Bomet County. That means we need to match the number of public participation plus the resources, and that should be the work that we will, I'm sure it will be a bi-participant approach in terms of the assembly and us working together to allocate the resource for this. Once we agree and we put it as an act and a policy, we then need to match this with resources. And as I'm asking, that will mean we need to work together. Then the one thing we try to cure is that we are not doing, most of these public participation are not done at the sub-county headquarters. I think we've been rotating to cure the challenge of doing it at every sub-county. Like I'm sure in Bomet East, we were doing it in youth farmers instead of Longisa. I don't know in Bomet Central, Raja, where were we doing the one for Bomet Central? The public, yesterday. I think we were doing it in the public participation. Where did we do it? Kanusin. So we've been rotating. Yeah, we've been rotating the public participation, not at the sub-county headquarters, but to the different wards, to cure the issue of having the public participation done at the sub-county level. So we've been rotating at the sub-county, the wards within the different sub-counties. I don't know whether there is something I have not answered. Okay, let me give it to Director Public Participation.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to add more on what the honourable member from Nyongores does with the honourable member from Kapletunda on the methods we used in public participation. So we do normally use a lot of methods. One of the methods we do normally use is the local stations, the radios. We also use the posters. We also use the radios. There is an important issue whereby our young youths normally wants to know. We normally use the internet-based, whereby we have the Facebook, we have the WhatsApp, because they are the majority people who normally ask what's going on in online. We also use the public meetings to tell the citizen what's going on in the county government. We also use the focus group, like the CPOs, having the faith-based organization, non-governmental state actors, to inform them on what's going on in the public participation. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. I wanted to ask, how do you ensure that feedback collected during public participation forums influences project prioritization? And do you have some evidence linking public participation outcomes to project approval decisions? Then in the recently concluded supplementary budget, we approved additional 15 million for public participation, making it 39 million. There are funds that are available to undertake and implement public participation. What could be the impediment towards implementation of the same? Because maybe 24 million was not enough before. So when we added the same, do we expect maybe some changes after adding you some 15 million?
Yes. Maybe before handing over to my director, perhaps to give a response on the issue of the funds that this honorable house has been able to graciously grant us as executive. We will definitely ensure that with more funds, we will ensure that we've got more public participation going on. The problem, we may not have the public participation as envisaged in law. Sometimes public participation can happen even when recently we had all the village elders within the county coming to our office, and we needed to immediately turn that into a public participation forum, because when they came, they had a lot of issues, and we engaged them for about 2 to 3 hours. The other time, they were borders coming to sometimes to demonstrate, but whenever they come to our offices, we turn that forum into a public participation. We take minutes and we hear their views. But I'll give it to Director Cheruiyot to be able to, and Marcella to be able to give a more concrete response on the same. What I know, and I'm sure you can agree, honorable members, that most of the projects that we undertake as a county is a product of the push from the public. I'm sure we as a county, we don't just wake up and say we are building a dispensary. Whenever we go around with the governor, which is also part of public participation, you will hear people saying, we need a dispensary here. We need an ECD classroom here. We need a road. And I'm sure it's difficult for us as executive to just wake up and say we are building a dispensary here, or putting up a classroom here, an ECD, or even a road. Sometimes you can hear from the masses, and they are saying, Your Excellency, or CEC, or even Mheshimiwas, the honorable members of this house, the people will barricade the roads and say, kama hapa, if it's not being done, hata tutakufukuza. So sometimes I'm sure almost all the projects undertaken, it's as a result of the push from wananchi. Sometimes it's not a very documented and a clear public participation forum, but whenever you meet around 100 citizens in your ward and they are demanding that a road be done, that of course immediately now turns into a public participation. You may not mean it, but you know in your mind in the public participation. And the next thing, I'm sure, either you come, you approach me, or approach the governor, or you summon us, and we will discuss what the people need. So I'm sure most of the projects we undertake is as a result of the push from wananchi. Otherwise, I want to add over to Director Cheruiyot to give a response on the improved budget and why we are intending to do as a department.
Okay, thank you so much, Chairman. Now, on this allocation of funds, and they are asking about the feedback, whether there's a lot of, or there are some improvement. I want to say that with this kind of public participation, we had the last 2 days, trying to engage in the platform, engaging the citizen from Bomet County, and we had the responses for each and every project. In fact, all the project for health services, for administration, all projects across the county since from 2013, we had responses, and when you look at those responses from the Wananchi, we were getting some positive, comments from them. That is a clear indication that this information is reaching the public, and sometimes with the use of this budget, we normally have other public functions through meetings, workshops, and when you look at the budget we are using, especially when taking some of the citizens to where we have meetings, I can say when we get more funds, we are able to get more people attending these functions. Of course, there are so many things now going together with the public participation, the logistics, and all those things which goes together with the lunches and the tents, mobilization, coordination from the personnel. So I want to say that with the budget you have been allocating to us, I think up to this point in time, we have been getting some positive results. And especially in the last 2 days, where we conducted survey for all the projects in the whole county from 2013, all the projects, including those which are not, those which are not complete. We were getting, comment from Wananchi. They are saying this project was, constructed or was done during this year. Why have you not completed? And we were giving them feedback. So there was a very good exchange from the public. So I think going forward, cascading this public participation issue to the world level, I think it's a very noble idea. So, and I think it is captured well in our policy. That's understand.
Thank you. I just want to add more when it comes to the feedback is that first we would like to appreciate the Budget and Appropriation Committee for considering from 15 million to 13 million. As much as the director just say when it comes to the engagement on the feedback is that we have a dashboard whereby you just open the Bomet executive, whereby there's a dashboard created by the KDSP, whereby you will be able, the citizen will be able to ask questions and they will be given the feedback immediately. So everyone is free to log into that, and urging everyone to log in so that he or she can ask the questions, because we have the project since 2013 to date. That's some which it was started in 2013, still and ongoing. So I would like to ask the citizens so that they will be able to open, even with the honorable members. You have a right to ask the question from that side.
Which portal?
So I will share with you the portal on the KDSP. There's a dashboard we created.
KDSP.
Yes.
No, it's important you come up clearly on how to access that portal, because it should call the public also.
Okay.
This is a live session.
I will share with you immediately after here.
Okay.
And again, the importance of it for having 39 million is that there will be the number of the participants whereby the people will come up. It will raise from the low turnout to the bigger number. And again, we have His Excellency has been having the governor's visit to the wards, and I know for having this money, it will really assist us to access the people and also to meet the community on their priority and their plans they want to be done for. Thank you.
Chairman, maybe I want to add something which I think in our guidelines and regulation, the policy guiding the organization of this document of Public Participation Act, it is clearly, when it has been approved, even the procedure on how to facilitate from the village level all the way to sub-county is very clear. And how much is enough for you to have a meeting in a particular place, in a particular corner. So, in fact, when we were conducting this survey yesterday and the other day, using the new portal on the government projects since 2013, most of the citizens, in fact, they were saying this is the first time counties now putting us, because we were looking at Nakuru, they did it maybe 1 year ago or 6 months ago. Bomet, I think it was the third one, and I know from next week or from this point in time, I know we are able to be able to assess or to look in, and you'll be able to see what's happening to even the projects across the country, even the projects from your respective areas. You'll be able to know this one was started when, the total amount was this, the projection was this, deadline of completion, and if it is not completed by this point in time, what could be the reasons? Yeah, was it the contractor abandoning the site, or what was it? So, in fact, when you look at it, I know most of us will be satisfied on how to look at these projects we are starting, and sometimes we are not completing. We have reasons for that, and they are there in the portal. We are not hiding anything. So I think for this public engagement, I think it's a very good thing, and maybe in the next few days, as we were saying with Waziri, saying that maybe the policy is going to come anytime soon. I know we shall be guided enough by that policy. Asante sana, Chair.
Thank you. We are tending towards the close unless any member is having any other question. Looks like none. So let me allow you, Waziri, to make your closing remarks as we finish.
Honorable Chair and honorable members, one, I must appreciate this committee for receiving the invitation, the petition, and seeing it necessary to invite us to come and share together on the way forward. When I looked at the petition, I think I also look at myself I wear two shoes. Other than being the CC in charge of administration, I also know that one day I'll also be a villager somewhere. So I like this because it will give me a forum once I'm retired to also engage the county of those days. Sometimes we may sit comfortable, but you'd never know that we are also walking towards that village. So I want to agree that this is a beautiful thing. We are able, as a county, working together with the assembly to decentralize public participation and give the sufficient funds to decentralize these public participation to the ward level. I think is a good idea. I support. Only that, as I said, the biggest challenge that will come on our way is now ensuring that we match this particular policy with the sufficient resources. And I'm sure going forward, we will maybe invite us to now look at what the kind of the budget that will be able to sufficiently be able to facilitate the implementation of this policy across the 25 wards. Finally, I want to agree with the Honorable member for Kabletundo that the turnout has been miserably low, and it's something we have shared as an executive, and we need to go beyond what the law dictates in terms of using the dailies to invite people to this public participation forum. I think we need to find other means to ensure that we publicize these events in a more localized manner, because putting it in nation and standard may not be enough, and I agree fully. And we will endeavor to ensure that maybe moving forward, we will use the available means to ensure that we advertise these events in the local media, like the radio stations and the social media, perhaps. I think I tend to agree. Maybe if there's anything from my colleagues, maybe a minute each to give their comments. Perhaps because of protocol, they are reluctant to, now that I've summarized. I wish to hand over, Honorable Chair, back to you. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Once again, to members, any? Not? Okay. So thank you for that feedback. I want to thank you for coming, and I want to appreciate your feedback and submissions on this. Maybe just to point out that the online platform is almost necessary, especially at the era that we are in. Make it so simple to access, make it public or make it known to the residents so that even as we conduct this public participation, it allows everyone or someone who is even outside the county to air his or her view, so that the ultimate objective of seeking public opinions is cutting across. Secondly, on the issue of publicizing maybe public participation, make the notice available well in advance, and also use the localized media, maybe the local radio stations, and whichever means that can reach to the largest population. And lastly is to ask you to fast track that policy so that we have it in place for full operationalization of the Act. Otherwise, we thank you for coming once again, and we look forward to further engagement in future. I thank you also the members for finding time to be with us, and I now declare this session adjourned, and we'll have, maybe this is not important, but we've closed the rest of the conversation